So number 12 says, convert 5 minus 12i to polar. So 5 minus 12i to polar. So I always draw myself a little picture. You can't see what I'm writing. And I know the 5 tells me to go right by 5. And then the negative 12 tells me to go down by 12. So just say this is 5 and this is negative 12. And there's my point. Okay, and I need to write it in polar. So I'm going to make it into a triangle by connecting it with the x-axis. And then I need to I'm going to write it as something, cis, something. So I'm going to get the hypotenuse of the triangle, and then cis, and then I'm going to get the angle measure. Okay, and remember, here's some vocabulary for you. In some other math books, they call it the modulus, and then they call the angle measurement, they call it do you guys remember? Argument. So, modulus and argument. I'm just trying to give you that vocab in case you're doing testing and you know how to do this, and then they ask you for the modulus and the argument of this, and then you would maybe not know what to do if you didn't know those words. So, okay, so I think there's a negative, there's an angle measure here. So I can probably give it a positive angle measure, or I can decide to give it a negative angle measure. I'm going to check and see the way your book likes to do it. Your book ended up just giving it the positive angle measure. So we'll find that, and then we'll subtract from 180. So how do we get this hypotenuse? Everybody knows that, right? Yeah. Pythagorean theorem, right? This side length is 12 and this side length is 5, so 5 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared, so that's 25 plus 144, and that's c squared, so it might turn out kind of ugly, I don't know. Let's see, 25 plus 144, well isn't that nice? So 169 is a perfect square, I think. C is going to be, c equals 13. Right, because if I square root both sides. So that's our modulus. I just call it the hypotenuse, but it is a modulus. And then the angle measure, how can I get the angle measure? Which SOHCAHTOA would be a nice one to use? I'll just tell you, I always use tangent. I always use inverse tangent on this. Now, since all three of these numbers are really nice and pretty numbers, you could have used any of the SOHCAHTOAs, but usually the only two nice numbers you have are the adjacent and the opposite, and that's tangent, right, because it's opposite over adjacent. So I'm going to say tangent of theta, whatever it is opposite, what's that, 12, over adjacent is 5. So then, to get theta by itself, I have to inverse tangent both sides, because that's going to undo my tangent function. And then I'm going to tangent inverse 12/5, and I'm just going to ask my calculator to do that for me. Shift tangent 12 divided by 5. And I got 67.38 degrees. But I remember that I want to give it, I could just say negative 67.38 degrees right here, or I could give it in the positive. I see that our book is wanting to do positive. So I can go 360 minus that number. That's going to give me about 292.62. Now let's see if your book has it. Yeah, that's about how they do it. 292.62 degrees. Got that? All right, does anyone have a question? No? We use Pythagorean theorem a lot.